Golden State. You know, they are a very flawed basketball team, and they only know how to play one way. But sometimes, no, a lot of times, talent outweighs the flaws that you have. When you look at the NBA Finals, every time Cleveland made a run, and people started thinking about last year, they were like, here we go again. Cleveland is going to steal one, meaning Game 5. They're going to go back home and win, and then we'll be back in Game 7, just as it was last year. This year they had an answer, and to be honest, they probably would have had an answer last year had they not lost a starter to ejection and had a couple of injuries that they had to deal with. But this year they added too much firepower with Kevin Durant, and it paid dividends in Game 5. But let's not forget what some of the other people did. It wasn't just Durant. There were key moments in the series. When you look at Andre Iguodala, I mean, he was a pest the entire series. And remember, he had major back problems in last year's finals. But every time they needed something big in Game 5, it was AI, Andre Iguodala. And if it wasn't him, it was Sean Livingston. And if it wasn't Sean, even and for Game 5, they got my man, the enforcer, David West, who was a very good player for years with the New Orleans Hornets and the Indiana Pacers. So I'm not so much interested in if the Dubs can win a title again as much as I am in the free agent market. I like college basketball and more so college football more than the NBA. However, I am excited for teams like, let's say, like the Philadelphia 76ers. Wait until you see their blue chip guy play. Now, it doesn't matter who they draft this year. Wait until you see Ben Simmons play. Trust me when I tell you, it'll be his league in 5 years if he stays healthy. Trust me. Let's talk Ward-Kovalev. We got part 2 coming up this weekend. And let me start out by saying that Rock Nation has shot itself in the foot. And as I stated before in other videos, win, lose, or draw, Rock Nation may soon be out of the Andre Ward business and may also follow Mike Tyson and Curtis Jackson and be out of boxing. They've done absolutely nothing to promote this fight. And if it turns out to be a financial disaster, it's going to be on them. So there's no rematch clause. If Kovalev wins, he wins. Main events. They got strong-armed in the first fight. And Rock Nation and Andre Ward have been so difficult to deal with in this rematch. Main events pretty much cut their losses and said, we're not going to invest anymore into this nightmare of a promotion. Shout out to Steve Kim, the K9. Shout out to Victor Atkinson. That's my man right there. Victor, I appreciate you, what you did, man. Giving you a shout out. That's my dude. There's a guy named Jim Boone. And Jim Boone is a ticket broker. And he's been selling boxing tickets since 1999. And he knows his stuff. Trust me. And you can find Jim Boone at, I'm not going to give out his number, but you can find him on Twitter at KO Tickets. Trust me, if you ever need to go to a big fight, try contacting him first. Even if you just have questions about trend analysis, like should you buy tickets early or late to a particular fight, this guy is an expert. So he was asked how tickets were selling for the Ward-Kovalev rematch. And his answer was the sales are poor. Tickets are not moving. And if you plan on attending Ward versus Kovalev 2 and you have not purchased a ticket yet, listen to what I'm about to say. Since the tickets are selling poorly, then it also becomes bad news for the secondary market, or what you call your ticket brokers. The one thing you need to pay attention to is this. Do not buy your tickets now. Wait a bit. If you wait until the last minute to buy for Ward-Kovalev, you are going to get some sweet, sweet deals. Why did this happen? Well, it has nothing to do with the lack of buzz for this fight or the lack of marketing by either of the promotions. Neither does it have to do with the fact that the fight's in Vegas and it's sandwiched between Canelo versus Jr. and Triple G versus Canelo. It has nothing to do with those things. The real reason is that from the start, the tickets were extremely overpriced. Extremely overpriced. So what Jim did was he compared three big fights. Ward-Kovalev, which was the second largest. Triple G, Golovkin and Danny Jacobs was the largest. And Crawford versus Diaz. All three fights featuring an undefeated guy versus a guy with only one loss. So he specifically looked at the dead center high row seats because that's where you get the best value. They're not the most expensive seats, but they're also the best seats in the house, being in the center and not way up too high. So best bang for your buck. So for Golovkin Jacobs, Tommy Loeffler sold tickets in that dead center, like dead center high row. For Golovkin Jacobs, he priced those at $400. So when you look at similar seating for Ward-Kovalev, Rock Nation priced the same tickets at $1,250. So in talking to Kim, Jim Boone went on to say, for Ward-Kovalev, those dead center high road tickets, you can't even buy those tickets anymore. Guess why? As of, I believe, Tuesday or yesterday, Wednesday, they are now offering the really, really good priced center lower riser tickets for, you ready for this? They've been marked down to $500 as of Tuesday. So hear me out. Those were upper center seats that were $1,250. Now they aren't even offering the upper center seat section tickets for $1,250 anymore, because now you have the lower seats being offered at $750 less than what the upper seats originally were. So prior to this change, the lower seats, which are now $500, were not even available. So if the uppers were $1,250 and you're getting the lowers for $750 less at $500, what do you think originally the lowers would have gone for had they been available? Jeez, I tell you, what a joke. So for GP, he added the Crawford versus Diaz fight. Top Rank charged $75 for similar seats at Madison Square Garden for the Crawford-Diaz fight. So, shout out to my man Steve Kim, the K9. Shout out to Jim Boone. By the way, Jim also said, if you plan on going to the Miguel Cotto fight, buy now. Don't buy at the door, because tickets are moving in that. And the best ringside seats for Cotto versus Kamagai are $250 for the best ringside seats. So jump on that. And he said actually today is Wednesday. This video might post either late Wednesday night or Thursday. So if you're interested in that Ward-Kovalev, Jim Boone said to reach out to him and call him. I won't tell you what his phone number is, but if you go to KO Tickets, like as in knockout, KO Tickets, that's his Twitter handle. Somewhere in his description, there's a phone number. You can reach out to him. You can become his friend and send him a direct message, or however you want to do it. But Jim's the real deal. And he reiterated, if you are going to Ward-Kovalev 2 this weekend, you will be able to get tickets up until fight night for pennies on the dollar. That's how bad it is, folks. I'm not making this stuff up. This guy's been doing it for 99. This is what, 26 for 18 years. He's been selling boxing tickets. He knows what he's doing. He said call him Thursday. He won't be back to Vegas until Thursday. So reach out to him. Deal? I mean, you're gonna get a sweet deal. As a matter of fact, he said the brokers, the promoter of the fight, the Rock Nation, is fighting with the brokers right now to at least get a little bit of their money back on the tickets. And I tell you. Also, the Golden Boy triple header that's coming up at the Forum. His advice is you can also buy now or buy late for the Golden Boy triple header, and you're going to get good bang for the buck. So check that out. Now, if you've seen recent videos, I've talked about how Team Ward has dominated the mental matchup going into the second fight. And I've also questioned John David Jackson's responses to questions related to his loyalty, which led to more mental questions that had to go on in Sergey Kovalev's head. I pointed out about 10 things, check my video, that Team Kovalev has handled wrong in this rematch that concern me, and how he's just getting slaughtered with the mental aspect of this fight. You always hear people talk about how it's 75% mental, how it's 90% mental. And I said that I was leaning Andre Ward in this fight. One comment from each guy concerned me. For Kovalev, he said, look, one of us is getting knocked out. Now, remember all that mental stuff I talked about in the video? Well, here we go again. What do you mean, one of us, Sergey? Dude, you should be saying Ward's getting knocked out, not, oh, well, listen, one of us is getting knocked out. It's just like, and believe me, for part of my prediction and leaning toward Ward, a comment like that pretty much lets you know that both guys will have an opportunity, and he's just straight shooting with it. But it's like, man, this guy's doing a number on you mentally. It all started with Jay Prince. For Ward, a comment that he made when that bothered me is when they asked him about drug testing, he got defensive and said, well, I've been tested at least 5 times in this camp. And I mean, well, was it 5? Was it 10? I mean, I don't like the sound of that. I've been tested at least 5 times. I mean, you should know how many times you've been tested. It's kind of like, let me just throw this out here to make it sound like, hey, these guys are bothering me. They tested me at least 5. No, dude, 5, 7. I mean, that didn't sit well. If you just think about the intricacies of statements sometimes, if you listen to how he said it kind of just, anyway. So let me ask you guys a question. Does anybody get the feeling that something weird is going to happen in this fight? I mean, I don't know. Something just isn't sitting right with me. And, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the judges. I'm not going to say there would be a disqualification or some other kind of drama. It's just something. Something. Speaking of the judges, 3 judges for this fight are Dave 116-112 Moretti, somebody joked that his scorecard was already turned in, and I mean, as much as I want to laugh at it, you gotta wonder if you know Dave Moretti's history. Another, and he's well, I'll get on that. I'll get to that later. You got Glenn Feldman. Now, Glenn Feldman, he's a guy who had Roman Gonzalez losing to Wasikil Wongek, a.k.a. Surisaket Sor Rungbisai, his last fight. I thought that card was off the mark. He had Frampton Santa Cruz 2, 115-113 for Santa Cruz, which I don't have a problem with that. He also had DeGale Badu Jack 114-112 for DeGale. Now, I thought DeGale won, but he got beat the hell up so bad that he probably lost much more health-wise. When you talk about the harder shots, well, if a guy's a harder puncher, he's going to land harder shots, and DeGale got beat up. But when you're talking about scoring 3 minutes of a round, I thought he outpointed Jack. But having it a draw or having it the other way, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Feldman had Maurice Hooker versus Darley Perez even, which is an absolute joke. Maurice Hooker, he didn't win that fight, and it shouldn't have been a draw. So, what else are you left with? Perez deserved the victory. He also incorrectly scored Timothy Bradley versus Juan Manuel Marquez, 115-113 for Marquez. Marquez didn't win that fight. I mean, come on, man. He also incorrectly scored Isaac Slachwayo versus Delvin Rodriguez for Rodriguez. Absolutely not. He was influenced by the crowd. So consistency is an issue. I mean, there are many other fights I can go with Feldman, but I'm not gonna go there. Your third judge is Steve Weisfeld, and I thought Steve Weisfeld's card was correct. I thought the other judges, as well as the Showtime scores for Joshua versus Klitschko, were off the mark. Steve Weisfeld had it 95-93 for Klitschko in that fight. And that card agreed with mine. Now remember, this was without scoring the late knockdowns. Okay, not that last round. So I thought Klitschko was ahead in that fight. Weisfeld had Edner Cherry, a 2-point winner over Omar Douglas. I disagree with that card, but not vehemently. He had Golovkin 115-112 over Jacobs, which was on the money as far as I'm concerned. Then he had Adrian Broner 97-93 over Adrian Granados, which was way too wide. He had Badu Jack, James DeGale a draw. Don't have a problem with that. Don't have a problem there. I disagree with his card for Thurman versus Porter and Lara versus Martirosyan. Both of those fights, but basically he gave each guy a score where it was a 1-round loss in each of those deals. So minus a point deduction for Martirosyan. I believe it was low blows or something like that. So what does this mean? Well, I think Weisfeld is the most neutral referee, despite all three of these guys' inconsistencies. I think Weisfeld is the most neutral referee, which bodes well for Kovalev. I think Moretti is more than likely a house fighter type of judge in this, so that bodes well for Andre Ward. So it comes down to Feldman, and ordinarily I would say he favors the house fighter, but he can go either way. Here's the problem. Some people think Sergey Kovalev was robbed. Some people think Andre Ward got a gift. So when some people look at the fight, they call it a robbery. Some others look at the fight and call it a gift. On the same card, Maurice Hooker, who I mentioned earlier, who just so happens to be a Rock Nation fighter, won. It was an awful decision versus Darley Perez on that undercard. And as a result, you have to look at it and say, although they called it a draw, it was a win for Roc Nation, and it was a win for Hooker, who was outclassed in the fight. So if you're giving what in essence appears to be a corrupt decision to a Roc Nation fighter on a Roc Nation card, then what are you going to do with the main remaining Roc Nation fighter in the rematch? So you're looking at potentially, when you want to look at it a certain way, you're looking at it as two officials, two judges who will side with Ward and one for Kovalev, which puts you kind of close to where you were before. Now, I'm not going to break down the rematch too much. I'll just say the following. I've been leaning Andre Ward in the rematch from the start. This is well before he and his team dominated this mental battle. Well before it. This was before right as the rematch was made. I mean, because they sent you a message in the first fight. But the main reason I lean Andre Ward is because I can't imagine Kovalev fighting any better than he did the first time. I mean, it wasn't just power. Sergey Kovalev outboxed Andre Ward, and Andre Ward knows it. But he can't fight any better. As a matter of fact, he probably fought over his head a little bit. So the best Kovalev can do in this fight is fight equally as well as he did, or fight worse. And odds are he won't be able to fight as well as he did last November. I mean, I thought he boxed beautifully. And I just can't see him doing any better. The only thing he can do is as good or worse, and odds are it'll be worse. On the flip side, Andre Ward has plenty of things he can fix. While Kovalev can't fight any better, Ward has plenty of room to improve in the rematch. So, as I stated, the odds are Kovalev will come down a little bit and Ward will go up, making it a clearer victory for Andre Ward. All signs point to an Andre Ward win. All logic points to an Andre Ward win. His team has suckered Kovalev into this mental game, and Sergey's too angry right now to have the focus he needs. Right? Everything logically says Ward does enough to win the rematch. I felt this before the day we knew we would get a rematch. He will be better and sharper than he was in the first fight. He'll win the later rounds as his stamina will once again be better than Sergey Kovalev. Ward says he's been in with Kovalev once and he's figured him out. Everyone sees that as Andre will win in a clearer fashion this time, like 8-4, 9-3. Everyone also repeated what Ward said about making adjustments and winning bigger in this rematch. And that's what it is. Oh, but remember I mentioned that I feel something kind of weird in the air. I just can't put my finger on it. hear me out. I believe Andre Ward wants to play defense and move. And I think John David Jackson's plan is, despite whatever stamina issues that will develop, Sergey needs to apply pressure early and throw more punches early on. Make Ward increase his volume of punches. The Kovalev jab was dominant in the first fight. He needs to carry the fight faster. And if you can't get to him and you get knocked out because of stamina issues, at least you won't kick yourself for not going for it. And as he's kicking himself now for the first fight. So it's a high risk game that Kovalev's going to play. They're going to turn it up. They're going to try to get to Ward and try to knock him out. But in doing so, if you don't get to Ward and you have those stamina issues, because I don't think there's anything you can do. I mean, if you have the stamina issues, you have it. All of that stuff about what you did in camp or didn't do in camp, I'm not buying it. So the risk is, if you don't get him and Ward comes on strong in the second half, this bigger, stronger, bulked up Ward, he has just a different physique now out of the blue. You risk getting knocked out by a guy who is not known as a knockout guy. So all the pressure is on Sergey to win the rematch. I mean, his promoter is out of the race in this one. It's also a Rock Nation card where there have been awful decisions, more than I care to discuss. You can't trust the judges unless you dominate, and even then, it's still up in the air. You got a trainer who I'm sure you still have questions about as far as loyalty. You're getting paid, once again, much less than Andre Ward. To be honest, Sergey, it's you against the world. And you've shown nothing mentally to suggest you are mentally ready for this fight. I'm going to go against my gut in this fight. And I'm actually going to pick Sergey Kovalev on points or by a TKO in the second half of this fight. Don't ask me why. Because everything logically says Ward wins, and he does it cleaner this time. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's talk about some scenarios. I think there's an uppercut that Ward didn't see in the first fight that will be waiting for him in the second fight. Kovalev never threw that uppercut in the first fight, but he will in this one. Also, most people don't realize that Sergey Kovalev is a good counterpuncher. He can counterpunch. And by forcing the action and trying to make Ward throw more, there may be an opening for him to counter and actually drop Andre. Don't underestimate Kovalev taking something off of one of his jabs and kind of putting it in Ward's face with a follow-up right hand after kind of like blinding him with the jab. So it's not that piston-like jab. It's a jab, and I keep it there, and I kind of blind him, and then as I'm throwing this right hand, I drop the jab, and he doesn't see it. I think there's an opportunity there. Wish I had some video. Lastly, Andre Ward keeps talking about these adjustments he's going to make, and then I hear the entire world picking Ward, saying, oh yeah, he's going to make adjustments in this fight, and it's going to make him win more decisively. And You always have to favor the boxer in rematches, but what adjustments are you talking about, Andre? And then you mentioned you got 3 game plans. What 3 game plans do you have that you keep talking about, Andre? Come on, man. The only adjustments Ward will make in this fight is, number 1, he'll try to start out faster. So he's not down 4 rounds to 5 rounds to 1 or what have you. And the second adjustment is he's going to try to make it an ugly fight on the inside. The reason I'm picking Sergey Kovalev, and I don't know why, because my gut is usually right, is I trust. See, everybody thinks Sergey's mad and he's going to go for the KO, and that's going to play right into Ward's hands. I think he's going to box. He's going to change up a couple of little things, but I don't think he's going to really change a lot up. And he's going to box. He's going to box. He's going to box just like he did the first fight. And so the adjustments in this fight, I believe, the more definitive, the more telling adjustments will be made by Kovalev. It's a very risky play by doing that, because if he doesn't get Ward and he tires like he did in the last fight and like he did in the Chilemba fight, there's a risk there for him to get tired if just from exhaustion. I mean, it's very risky, but he's going to have to carry the fight faster. He's going to have to increase the pressure volume. And the key is keeping it outside and mid-range. He does that, he wins by decision or by late TKO. Take that to the bank. Make sure you follow us on YouTube channel. Please subscribe at The Fight Journal. Check our website out, thefightjournal.com. Sign up with your email, and any YouTube video we do, any story we publish, because a lot more goes onto the site than we got press releases, we do some stories, we do some interviews. Will all come to your email automatically, so you won't miss anything. You won't have to go to YouTube. You won't have to go to the website. It'll all come to your email on a daily basis. Check us out on Twitter at The Fight Journal. And you guys make sure you watch the fight. They're going to need your pay-per-view buy, because, gosh, I tell you, what a mess. We'll catch you on the next one.